Hello everybody, Dr. Blue here. So Rainbow Six Siege is a game I've been playing a lot of recently because I've become everything but addicted to it. So I've decided to try and start making some guides on things I've personally been picking up on to share with you guys. I'm not an expert player at this game, and in fact many ways I'm still very much learning this game, but after having played many of the games I think I've developed an understanding of recognising my mistakes and learning from them, as well as learning what works well, and along that came a clear sense of situational and game awareness. What I'm trying to say is, although I'm not the best at this game, through these videos I'm going to try and help us all get there. So the first video out of the pipeline is on aggression, and how it can be useful, and also how too much or too little of it can be devastating to your team. Knowing when to be aggressive and when not to be aggressive are often game changers. If you're one of the more talented players of this game, you'll already have a decent sense of this, but it's actually interesting to note that some top players are actually overly aggressive to the point where the enemy don't even have a chance to react. Although to pull that off you need a full team of dedicated players with your unique strategy down to a fault. But we're not talking pro play aggressiveness today. First, we're going to maybe take this in a few more baby steps first. And what I want to say before anything else is that we're mainly talking about attackers here, not necessarily defenders. Because when defenders are aggressive, they'll do things like roaming and peeking, which are two different topics I want to cover hopefully in future videos. So aggression in Siege can make or break a team. If you're rushing whilst the enemy is just waiting for you with their murder holes, you're just going to get wiped instantaneously. Usually due to things like Peeker's advantage and taking things into consideration like time limit, whether the enemy have spotted you, and where the mind games currently sit. Because in Rainbow Six Siege, a lot of the combat is based on mind games, where the enemy know you've got to rush them, or whether they can just sit there, or if they've got to rush you. It all depends on the situation you're currently in. Thankfully, most players out there are either too smart or too afraid to just go in rushing at the enemy, so we're off to a good start. Finding a balance in aggression can be tricky, and it's very easy to slip up and let opportunities pass you by, which I guess when you think about it, aggression is all about risk. How risky are you willing to be? Are you willing to throw away your life trying to confirm a kill on an injured soldier, or are you the one that's too passive and doesn't start moving in until the last 15 seconds of the game? Well, I think the right balance between the two is often trying to take advantage of opportunities when they arrive, but not throwing your life away because of it. Because if you go down and your team loses you, it's a big disadvantage, especially if you haven't got to use your kit yet. Whether that be Twitch losing your shock drone, Fuse losing your cluster grenades, or Thermite losing your exothermic charges. Let's look at a few examples. Here I am playing Glaz on Oregon. I play Glaz a lot, by the way, and we found the enemy bomb locations, and they've not got the best setup for this location. They've got a few decent picks like Capcan and the Rook and Doc combo, but what they really needed here was maybe a castle or a frost to prevent us from breaching and entering their little cramped tower. Anyway, I started checking for peekers because as Glaz, of course, it's part of your job to escort your team and take the heads off any peekers. But there were none anyway, which was lucky for us, seeing as we made the mistake of spawning right below them. They had the height advantage on us, and I think it may have been worth the risk, for at least for them to pick some of us off. Especially as we were already winning by 2 points, they could have really used the advantage there. But anyway, I decided it's time to even up the height advantage, seeing as what I mentioned earlier, they could peek very well from where they were. So I start rappelling up the building, and then we lose the guy, so the enemy team decide to start peeking. But because I've closed up the height advantage, I start taking shots, hopefully to kill, but I end up just scaring him away instead. But the reason I scared him away was because I found the balance between the aggression. I used the fact that we were already beating them to my advantage, plus the height advantage, and plus with my weapon and thermal scope, I had a much better chance of taking this guy out than he had of taking me out. Anyway, I finally get my act together and I take one of us out, which makes us even. But this team is not going to stop. Looking back at the window, what do I see? I see some skinny little legs that look to be that of Jaeger, so I know he's heading up the tower to try and peek at me from the higher window. Again, he's trying to close out that height advantage. So now I'm a little clever and use the roof to hide myself whilst I shoot at them, but I actually end up injuring the poor guy, and this becomes a big example of playing too passive and not aggressively enough. Whilst I found the aggressive balance earlier, he's down in the tower and I can't quite see him, so I decide against my better nature to try and wait it out and take out his teammate, who will eventually come to revive this guy. What I should have done is gone up to the window, grappled from the roof and taken out his teammate point blank, and then finish off Jaeger, where I could have seen them both and caught his teammate totally by surprise and closed both the kills, as I could have got him whilst he climbed up the ladder. Or at the very least I would have finished off Jaeger, but instead I hang back trying to keep an eye on the ladder to see when he's coming up, but that window is tiny, and I end up missing them both, and he gets his teammate up, and then they get a little clever and start hitting me from both windows to take me out, and they eventually do, but as an attacker with an enemy down, who I know I wounded, I should have finished off the kill. A little risky, yes, but it ended up being riskier not to finish him off. As the defenders take me out, I realised they probably should have peeked from both windows simultaneously to take me out. Again, a little risky because I might have got one of them, but they probably would have got me a lot sooner. That was a clip where I was playing too passive. Now I want to show you a clip where I'm playing too aggressive. So here I am playing Glaz again on Chalet, and he decided to rendezvous with Blackbeard. Blackbeard, being an aggressive character, or at least a very good peeking character, had an excuse for this, but I should have hung back. So we take out the door, albeit very awkwardly, and we enter the room, and I'm almost instantaneously killed by Frost. We were way too confident and expected no one to be around, but luckily we react quickly and fire back, hitting her somewhat, or at least scaring her off. Despite my best efforts, I actually managed to get a kill here by checking down the hallway, and I noticed Frost couldn't have gone anywhere, so she must still be around this left corner. So I throw a smoke at her to cover my approach, and I turn the corner, and what do you know, here she is, playing way too passively for her own good. She had a fair few opportunities to run away or even peek again and take me out, but she played too passively and sat on that corner hoping, just hoping that I wouldn't find her on the corner. And so far we've racked up 2 kills and we're currently a man up, so using smokes I advance the hallway, checking for any more enemies alerted by the commotion, and press on. Decide to let Blackbeard take the lead here as we press on to the objective, as he has the shields and more health, and our man goes down and we turn the corner and Blackbeard steps into my scope for just a second and we are both killed. Now, we weren't rushing or going guns blazing. In fact, in the corridor, I was actually playing quite tactically. But what we did there was too aggressive and cost us the match. Firstly, we should have broke a hole in the door and waited for anyone to come and peek and see what the noise was, seeing as there was quite a lot of them left. Smoking the hallway was an okay idea, but a bit too cautious, and on the stairwell we should have moved one at a time, or at least not stacked up like that. So hopefully I've taught you the difference between playing too passively and too aggressively, and hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. I know I will. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this little Rainbow Six Siege guide on aggression and how both to use it and not use it sometimes. Don't stack up in tight corners, always expect someone around, and try not to play aggressively with characters that should hang back. And remember, things can change in a split second in this game. I'll hopefully be doing more guides like this in the future and hopefully covering a lot more and learning a lot more about this game in the coming weeks. I hope you tune in and enjoy the content. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, leave a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. I've been Dr. Blue. You've been my audience. And I'll see you guys next time.